together as a community. This would never have been here had they not worked together as a community. And so, in order for them to work together as a community, they helped to make the community of Houston even a better community than it was. For it was only 30 years old itself at the time. And so, this is something that we should all be proud of. And we are thankful for the city of Houston and TERS number 7 for helping to make sure that this, our park, the first park in the city of Houston, the first park in the state of Texas, is something that we can all be proud of. And we all want to celebrate that it is about freedom. And so we thank the Kinders for their interest, for their funding of so many of our activities. And they're going to help fund what we are going to do for our 150th anniversary. And so we say thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the city of Houston for all that you have done to help us to remember that this is about all of our freedom. Thank you.
Every time I hear Jackie, I'm more impressed each time. What a wonderful, wonderful presentation, and what a great asset you are to the city of Houston. It's just wonderful to hear you talk more eloquently than anybody I know about the founding of the park and the way the memories of the founding have come down through the generations. So we just can't thank you enough. The Kinder Foundation is here because we value parks and green space very much. And we also have a deep appreciation and respect for Third Ward. Our foundation is supporting several community partners in Third Ward who are dedicated to enhancing lives and expanding opportunities in this vibrant neighborhood. Emancipation Park is such a special place. We all know that. But it's really much more than a place to go for recreation. You look around, and this is a great avenue for recreation, but far beyond that, as we're stressing today and will be stressing in June, it's really a part of history and a part of culture for Houston, for the state of Texas, and indeed for the entire United States. It was founded, as we said, 150 years ago, and is still today, 150 years later, still serving the community, I believe, as its founders intended. So we are proud to help the park continue to do so. We're very proud to be part of this great celebration coming up in June of the sesquicentennial of the Juneteenth, and we're just delighted to be part of it. And I can assure you, Ramon, we will be back to help celebrate with you and your great acts when Juneteenth actually happens. Thank you.
Good morning. You know, this is an extremely momentous occasion, and I had specific instructions to stay on message, but just oblige me because I'm so excited right now. We've literally been on lockdown for 2 years, and I've been chomping at the bit just waiting for the 150th, and I'm so excited to be here. I really want to just thank the mayor once again because he's been extremely important in us doing what we're doing here at Emancipation Park. You know, there have been numerous conversations. He's provided a direct line to him, and anything we need, he's been on the spot and right there. So I just want to say thank you to the mayor once again. Along with the mayor, you know, I want to say a special thanks to my newfound big brother, you know, Kenneth Allen at Houston Parks and Rec. And Kenneth, just like the mayor, really understands what we have in this space as a gym for this community. And Kenneth, you know, as you all know, conservancies exist, you know, for the maintenance, upkeep, enhancement of these beautiful spaces. But it's a partnership. And most people define that word partnership, in my opinion, a little loosely. And I just want to extend another courtesy to say thank you to Kenneth, because he has also provided that direct line and been Johnny on the spot with everything we need here at Emancipation Park. So let's give him another round of applause. And lastly, I want to thank the board here at Emancipation Park Conservancy. You know, we've all been on boards, and, you know, sometimes you can shake your head and wonder, man, what am I doing? You know, and some being on certain boards can be, you know, a piece of work. And I don't want to speak out of school here, but I can just tell you that this board at Emancipation Park is a board that I'm really honored to be serving with. You guys heard from Ms. Bostic. Sitting in a room with her to be able to understand how we do everything that we do here and be deliberate and intentional from a historic and cultural perspective. But more importantly, as Rich pointed out, these spaces are not just about recreation. They're so much more than recreation. These are assets in our community that we use to serve the community. And there's a plethora of activities and things that are going on that we're excited about, that are celebratory. However, at the end of this month, you know, this is our second year doing a free dental clinic, you know, where we're doing exams, extractions, right here, where we're outfitting this rec center into a dental clinic. And so for us, it's really being intentional and deliberate about why this place was founded and its use, and going forward, how we continue to expand on that. I also want to touch on, you know, press conferences are used to create awareness and talk about things to come. For me, this is much more than a press conference, right? And I think telling our story and having people understand the history and the importance of this space, it is so much more than just a press conference. And we talk about sponsors and people supporting stuff financially. You know, I can honestly say, and I'm not just saying this because they're sitting here, Nancy and Rich understand what we have, and they understand the importance of how this space can be used to make this city better. And not only supporting this from a monetary perspective, they're always present. And I just want to say thank you for being present, because most folks will set it and forget it. And so that I want to segue into, you know, most people talk about these four men, Reverend Jack Yates, Elias Dibble, Richard Brock, Richard Allen. But much like the civil rights movement, there were women that played a vital role in making this happen that we really don't hear much about. So these four men were community leaders. They did their part, but it was a much bigger effort that women played a vital role in making this happen. So I just want to touch on that. And lastly, you know, we have these celebrations that are happening over 2 days. But leading up to that, I want to encourage you guys to go to the website, epconservancy.org, because we're going to be having lectures, talks that directly on issues that are directly affecting our community. I'm so excited. We got Dr. Julius Garvey coming, the son of Marcus Garvey, to talk about sacred spaces. You know, health and wellness with Memorial Hermann and Harris Health, talking about health disparities in communities of color. So we have a bevy of talks and things leading up to the celebration that are going to be very inspiring and touching on the issues that are directly affecting the community. This 2-day celebration, June the 18th and June the 19th, all this space out here will be completely redefined. Kid zones. You're going to have activations by our local sports teams. The musical lineup. You know, when we talked about this being our 150th, I specifically remember a conversation that I was having. I won't name any names, but they're on this stage. And they said, Ramon, this is 150 years. Go big or go home. And I really appreciated that. And so I'm honored and excited to say we have a gospel lineup like no other. Ernest Pugh, Zachary Cortez, Pastor Mike, Mona Lisa Stevenson. And then after we bless you with the gospel, it's going to be a down-home family reunion type activity with performances with the Isley Brothers, Frankie Beverly and Mays, Kool and the Gang. So I encourage everyone to come out because no event at this scale has happened in any community of color in this city's history. So we're extremely excited about what's about to happen here at Emancipation Park celebrating the 150th. And I can't take credit for this, but I want to give a shout out to our treasurer on the board at Emancipation Park, and it's Yvette Mitchell. Yvette couldn't be here today, but Yvette came up with a phenomenal idea. She talked to the executive committee and she said, you know, wouldn't it be great if we could do 150 for the 150th? And we looked and we said, 150 what? What are you saying? She says, well, historically, we've always done mini grants with other community organizations to partner with us around programming and activities. How about we accelerate that and go bigger with the 150th? So I'm happy to announce we will be giving out to invited community organizations $150,000 in mini grants for the 150th. Give me a round of applause. I need to hear it. This event will be open and free to the public. Ticket information will be on our website. And I think the mayor mentioned this earlier, but you know, I was just having a conversation this morning with Reddick Edwards, who's the brother of the late state rep Al Edwards. You know, Juneteenth now is a federal holiday. Everybody's focused on Juneteenth. But Al Edwards was talking about Juneteenth and advocating and making things happen when it wasn't popular. So I just want to take that minute to just acknowledge him and all of that work that he did to bring attention to Juneteenth, because I really believe that had a role in making all of this stuff happen federally. And lastly, we just got this federal legislation passed a couple years ago. It's now a federal holiday. And they don't like it when I say this, but Senator Cornyn and Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, I want y'all to think about this for a second. In this political climate, it took a Republican and a Democrat to get bipartisan legislation across the finish line. And I'm proud to say that it's 2 Texans that did that, right? So just think about that for a second. In this political climate, it took a Republican from Texas and a Democrat from Texas to make this happen. This is what it's about. I'm thinking about the founders of this park and how even in their passing, their influence is still moving to make things happen. That is extremely powerful. Now, I gotta say this and I'm gonna sit down. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who we all know and love, is a very, very ambitious supporter, to say the least, of Emancipation Park. You know, when we talk about what needs to happen in this district, what needs to happen in the state of Texas, if there was anybody I would want on my team fighting for us, it would be Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. In addition to her, I want to just give one more acknowledgement to Senator Cornyn and point out Jay Guerrero, who steps up every time we call on him, and he's here and he's present as well. So Jay, thank you so much. With that, I will close by inviting the Congresswoman up just to say a brief few remarks about Juneteenth and that process and everything that she's done. Where's the Congresswoman? Oh, there she is. Come on up.
First of all, I'm so proud of this city, Mayor Turner, and the Kinders who have partnershiped on the enormous beauty of this wonderful park. And all I can say is this is what coming together is all about. Jackie Bostick, I can't count the years that we've had the opportunity to work together. Thank you so very much, and all the work you've done in Freedmanstown. I'd like to mention Eileen as well and the whole team. And certainly, I said to the Kinders, they are both individuals, and I thank them individually for the work that they do for the city. As you look out, it is enormously beautiful, Emancipation Park. To my right and to my left, it is a place of humbleness. It's a solemn place. It's a spiritual place. It is a place to be reckoned with and to recognize. And I do want to recognize the men that purchased for Negroes, freed slaves in 1872, this land, how grand and great this is. And then, of course, I want to acknowledge, yes, our dear friend, his children and his siblings are now united in making sure that Al Edwards, who established the first state holiday in Texas, will in fact be honored and recognized. And I do that every time I get a chance. But I do want to take a moment, and everyone's definition of brief is their own definition of brief. But I think it is very important to emphasize what Juneteenth is in this year, 2022. One, the 150th commemoration here in Texas, the Emancipation Park. I don't think there's any other park in the state of Texas that can take that standing of being the first park purchased. And then I think what it should represent, and I didn't hear all, but it really should have a serious moment. The work we did in the United States Congress over almost a decade was to try to establish the seriousness of what emancipation meant in 1865. That meant that slaves who had already been enslaved for 246 years were extra 2 years in the state of Texas. This is Texas born. This is given birth through Texas. This is Texas born. And I hope that this holiday will create opportunities that seemingly we have missed. Greater understanding of African Americans. Because even today, there are negative social commentary on how black women look, black men, and stereotypes, even today. And so Juneteenth and this commemoration should have a very special opportunity to bring us together, to let us befriend cultures that are different. In this instance, African Americans, individuals, many of whom, though our diversity in the African American population comes now from Africa and the Caribbean and many other places, but there are those who are direct descendants of African slaves. And my mission to year after year introduce the resolution and then be the first member, as we receive the 1 million petitions from grandmother Opal Lee in that very hot summer, as I recall, the first member of Congress to ever introduce the national holiday, joined by my good friend and fellow Texan, Senator Cornyn. We had many parents thereafter who claimed their birth status, but it was the two of us that continued to honor Juneteenth so that we could build the support in the United States Congress. Gladly, it was Joe Biden who accepted the challenge and signed it last year, just one day before the official holiday. It is important for the state of Texas to know this history, that it was a Texan and a Texan that gave life and birth to this federal holiday. It is no longer just Juneteenth celebrated in the state of Texas, even though it has been honored in many other states, but not officially. It is now a federal holiday. That makes a great and grand difference. Schools are out. Children can be taught the truth, and maybe people can learn that the different facial and hair designs of those of us who are different is as beautiful as anyone else. I say that to the Houston public that takes up to social media and attacks people from different backgrounds, whether you're a Muslim, from a different part of the world, Latino, Anglo, African American, and beyond. I really hope that this holiday is a human holiday that brings many different groups together. But the one thing that should be noted is that the federal holiday was born in Texas, given birth in Texas, by legislators in Texas, listening to Texans, including the beautiful and wonderful Opal Lee that I pay tribute to. But no others gave birth. They followed, but they did not. So I hope as we celebrate and as this program matures, that there will be a moment of great humbleness and honor to what Juneteenth is about, and that is the years of slavery that so many of us endured through our heritage, and that now that that is behind us, the story should never be behind us. The story should always be welcomed and embraced, and it should be a story that we can celebrate together as fellow human beings, Houstonians, and Texans. Again, let me thank the Emancipation Conservatory, all of the outstanding community groups that have been part of it, certainly the historic Jackie Bostic, granddaughter of Jack Yates, the daughter of my favorite beloved Mrs. Whiting, and of course our mayor, who has stood up to recognize the richness of our diversity and has been a real leader around the nation for leading us to come together and to celebrate our respective and wonderful cultures. And then, of course, the kinders who see no barriers to investing in communities and making a very special difference for all of us to come together. 150 years for Emancipation Park, 157 years since 1865, and the slaves of Texas were freed. This calls for a wonderful celebration, but it also calls for the acknowledgement of our special history, and as well, that history be cherished. For if you do not cherish and remember your history, we're often doomed to repeat it, but more importantly, your history becomes lost. Thank you all so very much. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the opportunities that we're given by the wonderful and patriotic various members of our community that we celebrate with. Thank you so very much.
Let me thank Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee for her remarks, and certainly want to acknowledge her and Senator Cornyn for what they have done on the federal level. Really appreciate that. And as she was speaking again, I kept thinking about State Representative Al Edwards. State Representative Al Edwards, I served in the legislature with him and know what he will be saying on this day. And as we think about what's going to happen on June 18th and 19th, in fact, that whole week leading up to that, this would be a testament to how far we have come. Ms. Bostic, I can only think about what Reverend Jack Yates would be thinking if he was alive today. This park is still here. Not only is it here, it is flourishing. So let me thank again everyone that's going to make this event in June happen on the scale that it is happening. And I agree, you either go big or you go home, but you don't do anything halfway. And so this park is going to be full with people. The entire city is invited because it's a testament that in the most diverse city in the country, we can all come and celebrate, because it's not just African American history, it's Houston history, Texas history, and the history of this great country. Having said all of that, you've heard a great deal. Are there any questions? Any questions before we end it?
And we have the mic here if you guys want to step up to the mic and ask questions, or we can also bring it to you.
Then let me invite you to talk with people individually. They will be here, but on this beautiful day, I'm hoping and praying that the weather will be just as beautiful on Juneteenth and that week of Juneteenth. Okay, thank you all so very, very much. Again, let me give a thanks to the Kenders again. I know they don't like it, but Discovery Green Memorial, Emancipation Park. Let me thank the Conservancy for their leadership. Let me thank Parks and Rec, Director Kenny Allen. Let me thank you and your team for making it happen. Special events will be out here in full force, and we're inviting the entire city to come and join with us on those week of celebrations. Thank you so very much. Okay. They register. Hello. Yeah. Let me. So there. Yeah. So to be very, very clear, you got to register to come, though. It's not just a. Yeah. Let me make sure that you got to register. So you got to have. It's free, but you got to have a ticket. So you got to register to come. So let me underscore that. It is free, but you still must register. All right.